a message for my people.
Nick Dad, baby. We the new label.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Come on, son.
Now this the black sheep sticking its home. I need a crib like I'm Gatsby.
I need it.
In hand, just understand my
Pockets that deep.
with nothing to prove. I ain't got nothing to do. When they can't compete and I got nothing to lose. You see, they told me I'm the one that's gonna benefit.
Yes, what's good, everybody? Welcome back to Veterans Minimum, the number one sports betting vibe on the internet. All things Veterans Minimum are at Veterans Minimum. George, we have a very special guest. I'm a little pissed off we didn't have him on earlier. Maybe I wouldn't have fucked my quad up. All right, this guy is a professional. He knows what he's doing in strength and conditioning. He's Gav Pratt, the Senior Director of Strength and Conditioning, UFC PI, a UFC employee. And also, I think the first time we've had someone with an accent like his on the show.
Well, it's an amazing accent. You guys are in for a good one. So without further ado, Gav, how you doing, dude?
Hey,
Man.
Thank you, boys. Welcome. Thank you. It's good to have time to get to chat to you guys.
How often do you get to do podcast and media? Is this something that's like regular in your orbit?
Yeah, it's quite common. I guess everyone's sort of looking for that sneak peek inside what we do with the fighters and combat sports, fastest growing sport in the world. Everyone wants to know what's going on.
Yeah. So we just did the combine and we told you about it and you were like, do you know that we actually have a combine is it for UFC or just MMA? It's an MMA combine. And
It is an MMA combine, and we have two academies. So they're the athletes we choose in MMA that we want to work on to try and get into the UFC, and they're in Mexico City and Shanghai, which is where I started in China.
wow.
So we run a combine of tests, both technical, so MMA, and non-technical, which is strength and conditioning. Put those scores together, and then let's see who we're going to select for that squad, and then away we go.
Now, is there any, who would you say is the best type of athlete? And I'm thinking of it like I grew up playing soccer and then I played football. Is there any parallels between a sport that a potential fighter might have played that you think translates the best to how they perform in a combine or just them stepping into a cage?
Yeah, I mean, outside of martial arts, like from a completely other sport, rugby's a good one. That grappling, tackling component, definitely. And then I think from what I've seen while being in America, there's a lot of American footballers, particularly maybe your wide receivers or defensive backs, or the ones that's got to change direction and be quite agile and explosive. That's
Right.
also a nice little mix as well.
So what do you guys do at the combine to measure explosiveness in that regard for MMA? I'm assuming it's not running a 40 and doing a 3-cone drill.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we warm our quads up first, so. Hey, you said you wanted to go there. So no, we do jump testing.
Okay.
So we do counter movement jump. We also look at what we call a jammer throw. So it's like looking at your punch velocity and your punch forces as well. So we do that for the upper body. We do some maximal strength testing, and then we do some fitness testing, which is horrific, by the way. Some of those tests, yeah. I can tell you what to do if you guys wanted to do it later. Like, I'll definitely let you know.
Oh,
So wait, is it a surprise? And is that something that the athlete is not aware of what they're going to do and you guys surprise them? Or is it?
No, with anything scientific based with your testing, you need a bit of familiarization. So if you think of the guys in the combine doing the 40s and the bench press, like they're training for that test, right?
Right.
So we don't often get that opportunity, or the people that we test don't often know what those tests are in advance. So the first few days of that week, we're going to make sure that we're giving them a familiarization of that testing battery. So they
Okay.
get used to it, yeah.
that's interesting. And then now the whole MMA portion of it, is that sparring? Is that, I mean...
Yeah, sometimes they're going live. Like, so we have striking test, which is just looking at things like foundations, like footwork, like combinations,
Right.
defense, offense. Then you're looking at a grappling test that's been created in-house as well, and that's when they're going live. So they're doing live jiu-jitsu rounds. It might be us three. You're in a defensive position, George, and I'm in the offensive, and we're going to work for a certain time. We're scoring during that, and then if you're in defensive, you get a rest, and then Nick, you jump in, and now you're offensive, I'm defensive, and so I'm a bit fatigued as well. So how well do you manage that? And they're getting marked and graded by our technical coaches on their skill set. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Oh, dude, I would kill in that, bro. Are you kidding? Because I'm active now. So I'm a purple belt under Jerry and Shane Shapiro, the Shapiro brothers. They used to be over at Syndicate, and they've left. They've started their own thing now. But, you know, when we did the combine, I played quarterback growing up. So, like, the throw-in, killed it. Unbelievable. You know, stud. Even George would you admit?
The throws
could
look
edit this
nice.
part out.
No, the throws look nice. You went 16 for 16. It was good.
Yeah, you know, no one likes to pat themselves on their back more than I do. Yeah.
Well, yeah, you got fired up. You said, "Oh my God, I would crush this." Dude, are you fucking kidding me? This is an MMA combine.
Yeah.
Nick.
Professional
but-
MMA athletes.
But listen, hear me out though. Hear me out.
Okay.
I hadn't kicked the football in like 6 years, so
Right.
I kicked 3 footballs into the net. I'm feeling good. And then on my third kick, I'm like, oh, I fucked my quad up. And I did. I couldn't walk for like 3 days. But like with jiu-jitsu and wrestling, I'm active. I'm doing that like 4 times a week. That's what I'm saying. That like my body's accustomed to. I'm not going out there trying to bang a 50-yarder. That's
Yeah,
what I mean that I
here's-
would crush this.
Here's a good question, because the NFL Combine has a whole bunch of this where players choose to opt out of certain parts of the combine. Are there people that opt out of different parts of your combine, or are they considered not worthy of the sport because they're being a bitch?
Yeah. I would say that would definitely score against them. We do have athletes who we know are going to remain in the academy, and they don't have to do those tests because it's they're going live, so there's a good chance that they could hurt themselves, and we want to keep them.
Yeah. No, I know. It's just different. You know, it's just you get these kids that they have a chance to make the NFL, and then they just choose in front of the entire world.
Wild.
I'm not going to do this.
That's wild to me.
Well, give them some more context what you're referring to too.
My brother, who was a participant in the NFL Combine, was one of 6 players that did all the drills in the NFL Combine.
Out of how many?
I
Hundreds?
think it's
Stop.
290,
Are you serious?
300.
Because a lot of these guys now, Gav, what they'll do is they have what they call pro days, where it'll be, say a kid plays at UNLV, right? And he's a top prospect.
Yeah.
He'll go to the combine. Maybe he gets his height and weight and like, your wingspan. But when they have him throw, when they have him do the bench press or to run, he's like, nah, I'm going to wait for my pro day. So it's like, why do you even go there? His brother was one of 6 guys that they did everything they asked him to do. And, in the past, it wouldn't be 6 people. It'd be
The entire
106,
field.
the whole field.
Pretty much the whole field.
So surely these guys are looking at people like your brother going, just get them in for their work ethic. Like, that's the kind of people we want in this club to drive this club. That's what I'd be thinking about. They're the 6 people I want.
Yeah, but it's definitely shifted. And I think, we see it in sports like basketball and in football where the toughness is starting to lower a little bit across the board. And even though football is a really tough sport, have you noticed anything in the MMA community where fighters are wanting to take more rest, or they're concerned about their whoop score?
That's kind of what I love about working with MMA athletes is like you kind of got to stop them from running through a brick wall. They're built a different way, and I love that. It's now just about saying, like, I don't know about you guys, if you're going into a fight, I know I'm working myself into the ground because I know my opponent's going to be doing the same.
Yep.
So then it's up to us as the professionals to say, maybe this is an opportunity for you to not to go so hard. But in their mindset, I'd say 95% of them just want to keep going as hard as they can. And I love that. It's great about this sport.
Yeah, no, I'm getting the vibe. I've always known it, and it's just good to hear it reaffirmed on the other side that there's still toughness in the world.
And even before I started training, I've been doing jiu-jitsu now for about 6.5 years. Even before I started training, there was not an athlete that I respect more to this day, and now it's amplified because I'm around them so much, than an MMA fighter. I would even say I respect the dude on the regional scene more than the UFC guy, because you show up to get your ass beat for 400. Like, these guys are making no money until they get to the big dance. So for me, I love what you said there about, like, you know, you got to pull them back from going so hard. And the one thing that I've noticed being around certain fighters, like, the term of he's a real fighter gets thrown around, but sometimes I see it where, like, you know, shout out to my boy Vince Morales. I describe him as a real fighter because he does jiu-jitsu. He does pro practice. He don't just do it when his camp is starting, right? Like, there's a couple of fighters where you don't see them at the gym and then they get a fight book. Now they're there every day. He's one of those guys. Cody Steele, another friend of mine. They're doing everything. And to me, like, that's how I describe a real fighter.
Yep.
And to your point, like, these guys, it's like, yo, you got to, like, beg them to not work so hard.
Yeah.
Where do you draw the line where you tell one of the fighters that you're working with, like, hey, bro, you need a day off?
Yeah, I think that's conversations. Like, we get to know these fighters so well. In strength and conditioning, we work with them 3 times a week. They become your friend. You know, a lot of us don't see our mates 3 times a week. So
it's true.
We become really close with them. Like you're saying, you train with these guys, they become your friends. This is part and parcel of what we do. And I think conversation, we also use technology to look at things like their body battery based on HRV, and a number of different other things that we look at. And that can tell us when they're sort of in their boots with regards to energy. I think they're, you know, after a while of getting close with them as friends, they do listen. I think it takes time to get to that point. But there's also, I don't know, for us, it's just about trying to work in with their sport. That's the main thing. And strength and conditioning is supplementary to that. So we have to be the ones that are changing and not asking them necessarily to alter their skill set. And it goes back to what you were saying. Do they just come in fight camp? Or what we try and preach is we want a 52-week fight camp. Like, you're a professional athlete.
Right.
And those ones like Cody, those guys that are always training, is like we saw a stat the other day that the average fighter fights 1.68 times per year. So they're not sitting on the sideline like maybe NFL and NBA getting paid just to be there, which is maybe why they don't do the combine, because if I hurt myself, I don't get any money. Like, these guys are like, I'm going to fight because, you know, that's what pays me the bills. They're prize fighters. So we got to keep them ready all the time and make sure that they're in peak condition for that. Now,
Flip side of that, having them pull back, how comfortable are you with fighters? And I'm sure some fighters more comfortable than others, like with anything, where you got to tell them, hey man, you're really not working as hard as you think.
Yeah. That's tough, and I think there's different types of fighters, different cultures that maybe we would need to approach differently, because we're represented by 72 different cultures in the UFC. There's always different ways to look at it, right?
Yeah.
I think that's where I use things like technology and numbers. They're competitors, so there's a number, you didn't reach it. Let's get cracking. You know, this isn't good enough, and you know it's not good enough. And we've got so much data that we can say this is not good enough for your weight class, specifically, not just in general.
Now, how long have you been working with the UFC, and how have you seen that data shift and grow over time? Because that's the one thing they always say about baseball is how analytical the game got. Are we approaching something similar to the UFC, where you understand, you know, what the wear and tear of a certain amount of punches in different locations will do to a body, and, you know, just what have you seen?
Yeah, well, I guess ways or keys to victory is something that we're noticing is different for different weight classes, which we probably didn't have a few years ago. We released a journal in 2019, which is free online on the UFCPI's website, and that's got a lot of statistics based on that time, which have probably changed now. But even back then in 2019, if you look at all the weight classes, significant strikes are either 1 or 2 key performance indicators for every weight class. So if you throw more significant strikes than your opponent, there's a good chance you're going to win. So those sorts of things are starting to shift now. we haven't done an updated version of that, and it is quite individual, because if you negate my skills one-on-one, that probably means nothing anymore.
Correct.
Right? What we have seen from a skill set standpoint is, geez, they're getting good young. Oh, my God. We're getting some good athletes coming through at 17, 18.
I was going to say, like, Raul Rosas was, crazy story. For one of the podcasts that I was working with, we had actually filmed him in his fight camp leading up to his Dana White Contender Series performance. And so getting to see him before everything and now watching what progress he's made and how young he was then, any younger than 17 that you're seeing of the athletes that are coming through that you're like, holy shit, this 15-year-old is like unreal.
Yeah, we see a bit, probably more so in, say, China. I saw a couple of fighters there that were coming through this club called Enbo, which is a great story in itself. There's something on the UFC Fight Pass on that. He was an ex-police commissioner, and he's got a couple of either homeless, adopted, underprivileged boys and girls, and he's put him into fighters, and now he's got about 8 or 9 of them represented in the UFC. It's dope, super cool story. And then one of the kids that was just in the Road to UFC event, Sulang Rangbo, he just lost the final, but he was an 8-year-old going to Embo, and they didn't want him there, the story goes, and so he was too young to train, so they would drive him out there with a couple of miles out away from the thing and just go, all right, catch you, we're going back to training. And he'd run back as an 8-year-old crying. And now he's like about to get in the UFC. It's so sick. And he's a killer. He's a killer. So those guys are like started real young, and we get them in the academy around 17, 18 if they're selected. But they might come in with a couple of the boys as a training partner as a 15-year-old, and we're like, oh, here's some good ones.
Yeah, it's crazy because how... You know, and I feel like this is a pretty broad question, but do you think MMA is something you need to start young to be really great at? Because we were having this conversation on the show 2 weeks ago. I'm a big soccer fan, and we just had the Olympics and Winter Olympics with the hockey. And the thing that I love about both of those sports is whenever a goal is scored, there's a eruption from the crowd because it's so difficult to score. You don't see 11, 12 soccer games. You see 1-0. And then when a goal gets scored, the place goes fucking bananas, right? So hockey, soccer, baseball, you got to play at a young age. You don't see a kid playing for the Brazilian national team and at the bottom it says, oh, he started playing at 21. It's like, no, this kid's playing in the favelas at 3 years old.
Yeah.
With MMA, do you feel like, man, if you started I'm not saying you wrestled in high school or you did Taekwondo as a kid. I'm saying you just take someone that's 20 years old and they just fall in love with jiu-jitsu. Do you think they could get to UFC? Is that a possibility?
I think it's probably getting harder because of how young kids are specialising in it, and there's a whole thing around early specialisation in sport and it not being ideal. But like you say, most of them have done that plus something else throughout their career. And it's not just soccer as an 8-year-old. It's like soccer plus track and field or plus gymnastics, right? But I think we're using a philosophy, I guess, around one of our head coaches back in Shanghai, Dean Amersinger. He has, it's based on George St. Pierre, Randy Couture, a bunch of other things, but we termed it the FMA model. And that's your fighter, your martial artist, and your athlete. And to be really, really good in MMA, you need a piece or component of each of them, but you might just be a little bit more dominant in one of those areas. So an athlete might be that transitional athlete from football. They're really athletic. They pick things up super quickly. So that type of person, maybe at 21, 22, they could do that. Mm-hmm. And we're starting to see that because they've just got a really good learning skill set. The fighter is just that dog. So they could probably do it, right? And just give them a few skills. They don't get nervous going into the cage. In fact, they love it. They thrive on it. It's like, in you go. And then maybe the martial artist component is what we're looking at. If you're just purely looking at pitting skill set against skill set, I guess if you think of Conor Khabib, Conor's never going to learn how to wrestle as well as Khabib is, right? But maybe he's just got to learn the tools to stop being taken down. Once it's there, maybe we're in a bit of trouble. That's just the best example I could give. I'm certainly not saying that's what they need to do. But as an example, that's your martial artist component. There's a skill set. involved that maybe that's the tricky part from the age of 21 onwards. Can you fast track that? I don't know.
Yeah. The physicality and brute strength. Like, is there ever going to be like a Tyson type that's just like, Tyson may be a terrible example for this because he was coming up through the ranks, but just somebody that just has crazy punch power.
Of course, that person's going to exist. They're going to exist. I'm hearing rumors about some people like that as well. And I just like, how many times have you guys seen a champion? You're like, I don't know how this guy's going to get beaten. And then from somewhere, some freak comes along and just goes, oh, just like that.
Right.
Just beat him like that. You go, I never saw that coming. And that's the beauty of fighting is there's so many variabilities in this sport. Once was it described to me by another coach in Shanghai. He goes, we can prepare these guys as well as we want. But as soon as they shut that cage door, it's like getting a grenade and going, good luck, everyone. Like, it's so hard to predict what's going to happen in this sport.
Oh, dude, I remember being at a Tough Enough. It's like a regional promotion. It's on UFC Fight Pass 2.
Been.
It's one of like the craziest. The timing of this story was insane. We're watching the main event, and it was like a Russian Ukrainian fighter, maybe like 7-0, 8-0, and he was fighting an American kid, and the American was 5-2, and when they announced it, they were like, "Oh, he's on a 5-fight winning streak." So I turned to my friend Dimitri, who's a pro fighter. And I go, hey, man, he's on a 5-fight win streak. Maybe he's figured it out. And the moment I say figured it out, he gets head kicked, right? And I asked my friend, I've taken striking in the past with my coaches. I one time asked my coach, like, how do you check a leg kick? He gets up off this table and he's like, yeah, come here. He's like, throw a kick. And I go, how hard? He's like, as hard as you want. Dude, I throw the kick. He checks it. I'm like, I'm going to stick to grab.
Yeah.
I ain't doing this shit. This shit is crazy. I couldn't walk for like 2 weeks. Yeah. So I asked Dimitri, I go, hey, man, how hard is it to see a leg kick coming? He's like, you could see it coming, but when you don't, that's what happens. Yeah. Right? So I think about what you're saying with closing them in the cage, and then you can't control anything after that. Have you seen fighters, and we don't need to go into specific name of fighters, where maybe you've worked with them and you're like, man, I don't think this guy should fight. But then they go in there and you're just like, I did not see that. Like, he just blew your mind, right? Mm-hmm. Has that ever happened to you?
Yeah, and vice versa.
And vice versa. Yeah, that was gonna be my second part.
Brother, we've had some of the best prepared camps I've ever had involvement in, and the worst result possible could have happened.
That's so
crazy. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I can't pick this, but that's the nature of this sport. And the chaos is what makes it so exciting for fans, because you don't know what's going to happen. You think you do, you don't. None of us do. And then when that result happens, that's why it's always in like such an exciting thing. You don't have to wait 2 hours for the event to happen. The whole time you're thinking, something could happen here, something could happen here, every second of the fight. And I think that's what makes this sport so wonderful.
I think it's the best sport when it comes to in person. Nothing beats it. Like, that is just, it's unbelievable. I like going to fights all the time. I'm actually going, well, we're recording after the fact, but I'm going this weekend too for the pay-per-view. But I tell all my friends, I'm like, if you're a little bit of a fan, you gotta go live. It'll become your favorite sport.
It's the best.
It'll become your favorite sport. How do you feel do you put any blame on yourself when you train with a fighter and it doesn't go their way?
Every time. Every time.
Even though the unknown that you were just referring to?
But that's the power of reflection, right? Like, could I have helped these athletes more? And that's how you advance what we do, is we're finding new ways to challenge things. Right. As an example, and again, not talking about any specific athletes, but we do these things called fight simulations, where we're looking to practice the pre-performance routine, because if they fight twice a year, they don't get that opportunity. It's not like NFL where you're going to have a number of weeks back to back. This is how we warm up, and now we're in the Super Bowl. Our athletes just go to the Super Bowl. I don't know what to do. A couple of pads, a bit of wrestling backstage. So we go through that routine. We put them out the back of our facility behind where the octagons are. You guys may have been to the octagons, and there's a little office space. And then we walk them out with their song. And then we put them in, they spar, or they do sparring with different components in it. And the whole thing is to simulate that process. So I'll splice together, like Bruce Buffer
Reading off their
rattling off his actual opponent and him with the crowd noise, and then we'll make him spar with crowd noise with the same sort of time frames. And even recently, we just started playing around with the non-perfect chaotic moment because of the variability of this sport. So I had an athlete walk out to their walkout song, and then I changed it halfway to music that this person hates. Halfway through, he's like, what the hell's going on here? And it's like, hey, you got to deal with it.
Right.
Right. So we work with sports psychology a lot, and they're the things like go back to your pillars, make sure that why you're here. And actually, for that fighter, in their last fight, they didn't get a walkout because it was all running behind schedule. So like, you just got to go. And so he goes, I've practiced this.
Oh, yeah.
I'm ready to go. And he had a blinder. He had a fantastic fight because all of that chaos was actually practiced. It's not S&C anymore, right? But it kind of is.
Yeah.
It's what we term psychophysiological preparation. Like, you can be as prepared as you want,
Right.
lifting weights, but if you shit the bed on the day because of nerves, can't express any of it.
So, yeah, I mean, and a lot of that goes to the nutrition and obviously like all the cuts and everything that goes on, right? So like the proper fuel that needs to be in the body to make those decisions is imperative.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the poor kid that fucking passed out at the weigh-ins, not too long ago, you see people pushing themselves to extremes. Is there a certain protocol that you like to follow with people? I remember having to do a piss test in wrestling in high school for them to tell us, like, you can only cut down this much. Do you guys have something? Because I know there's some extreme cuts sometimes.
Yeah. No, our nutrition team, the group of dietitians that we work with, are phenomenal. They're the best in the world at what they do because they do it every week. And I would feel stupid talking about the details of what they do, but it is fantastic how they look at a slowly graded cut, and then they'll try and get the athlete to within 10 to 12% of their fight weight in the fight week, and then they'll make the cut and like either the Thursday night or the Friday morning, and then there's obviously a refueling process that goes along with that,
right?
Because you are going to get performance decrements losing that much weight. So how well can you rehydrate, refuel to make sure that you try and get all of that back again? That's what our dietetics team does so well.
Yeah, no, that explains it. I mean, just as a layman, I've done some of the cuts before, but I mean, you see, like a casual person would see something like that and probably wonder, like, what protocols are in place for something like that.
Yeah.
Since that doesn't necessarily touch on the facet that you add in, I had this question. I've been thinking 1,000 different ways to phrase it because I already know that it's going to put you into some hot water just because you're going to have to pick sides. But I'm going to give you 5. Top 5 nationalities that are the toughest working individuals in a weight room.
Ooh, good question. Russians. I think Americans with a wrestling background. I found when I was in China, they were fantastic. In Mexico, they were fantastic. And look, I would absolutely not be able to go home if I didn't say Australians.
I knew you was throwing that in there for
Nah, come on. That'd be number 1 if I'm honest, guys.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. There we go.
Yeah. Tough question, though.
Yeah. No. I know. There was a sides taken. We won't go over the countries you didn't list. Yoel
I'm
Romero.
offended he didn't mention Greece.
And the Cubans.
Cuban wrestlers, yeah.
Yeah, Cuban wrestling.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Do you ever advise someone to go up a weight class where you're just like, hey, man, you can't do 55 no more because it's getting worse and worse for you, your performance. You be better, and what goes into that?
Yeah, the main thing is doing a DEXA scan. So DEXA is obviously looking at, it's a scan to look at your body composition, which is body fat, bone mass, lean mass, organ mass, all those things, and it can give us an idea of how much lean mass you have, or muscle, let's say, as a percentage related to your weight class. So imagine if you're like 106% of your weight class just of pure lean mass, it's going to be a pretty gnarly cut. So maybe going up a weight class would be better for you. We can actually focus on putting on some functional mass rather than having to take it away from you. And then that could also work the other way. too. Like, can we manage to take some of that functional mass off and get you to drop down to 155? There's pros and cons to that too, because a lot of the time the fighters will have it in their head where they want to fight, and we kind of have to support that. But at the same time, we've got the science and the data to say, maybe that's not the best idea. So that's the challenge.
Have you seen a lot of fighters embracing the data? There's like a golfer named Matt Fitzpatrick who's literally mapped out every single shot he's ever taken since he was 17 years old, including practice shots. Everything has, and so he's one of the most data-driven people that I could think of in a different sport. You guys obviously are utilizing that with these athletes. Are you noticing a lot of them are like, if I follow this, I'll be successful? And are you seeing, is it the younger cats or is it some of the older guys that are like, I need to get ahead?
Mate, it's all of them, and it's great. Like, it's definitely shifting. MMA athletes are starting to understand the benefit of this, because ultimately what we're trying to do is, because it's such a chaotic, variable sport, we're trying to build confidence into them so that they know that they've prepared as well as they can, so that they can just go in and fight. They don't have to worry about gassing or not being strong enough. Like, you've done that work, mate. Don't worry about it. And you can see by these numbers that we've got comparisons for your weight class that you're good. You're top of the game. Now just go and execute your game plan. And I think they're starting to understand how powerful that is for them in their preparation. And then when we give them programs based on those deficiencies and they feel it, they're like, yeah, that's exactly what I was trying to get across to you as what I need to work on. So that's perfect.
Damn.
That's a good ass question, because we always talk about the analytics in sports. Because over the last decade, in every sport of the 4 major sports here in the States, they've all become data driven. Don't shoot 2-pointers, shoot 3-pointers in the NBA. 4th and 2 from the 50-yard line back in the day, you would punt. Now it's, you're an idiot if you don't go for it. So the analytics, it's a pretty polarizing conversation, because I'm sure fighters with their egos too, which you need to have an ego to be a fighter, they're probably like, I don't care about these numbers. This is what I'm going to do anyway.
Yep.
So finding that balance, it got to be pivotal for a fighter's success.
The peace of mind, though, like I'm thinking about it, like just having a person like this just telling, like, the confidence that you're presenting to me, I feel like, shit, yeah, if he's telling me I'm good out there, I can just go out there and fight him.
That's why we should have had him on 2 months ago, because the quads would have been fucking firing.
Oh yeah, no, mentally we were shot, bro. Mentally we were fried. I think, yeah, our biggest struggle would be mentally pushing ourselves to like the throwing up point of like course correction. We got to throw up. That's how out of shape we are.
I've got a test for you. We could throw that in for sure. It's a 1-minute balls to the wall assault bike, as hard as you can go. That's testing that glycolytic energy system that makes you want to vomit, and it gets quite a few people.
The assault ball? So like the
assault bike, that's my language.
Oh, the assault bike. Okay. I thought it was like the thing I have to punch the ball on the ground. No.
That thing sucks, yo.
Assault bike.
I do the 10 and 10 for like a minute and a half.
Yeah.
A minute and a half.
it.
I'm like, get the fuck off this thing, bro.
So imagine doing that for 1 minute straight
through.
Hard as you can. And we're getting gas analysis, so talking about your breathing, your respiratory system, heart rates, and then we've got this technology called NIRS, which is near infrared spectroscopy, and it looks at the oxygenation of your muscles. So now we can do that one test. We do 3, but you could do that one test, and I could tell where you guys are deficient, and then I would program differently for both of you based on what we're seeing as the limiting factor for that. So
I was just about to, I came up in my head, you said gas mask, and then, you know, I'm a pothead. So I was like, are there people that you can tell you're like, this dude's smoking weed? Like, there's no way he's not smoking weed every day.
Yeah. Yep.
Figures.
Yep.
I mean, at that point, you know, the science, the numbers don't lie, bro.
Yeah.
Well, you know, now that
His number's 420. That would be crazy.
You do jiu-jitsu, right?
Yeah.
So you'd probably see a bit of that going on in jiu-jitsu too, yeah?
Yeah, totally, for sure. I think, you know, as you were talking there, I was thinking about, what's like the hardest workout you've ever done where it came to you throwing up?
It was the GATA workouts that I was telling you about with the strength and conditioning coach that I did not like. His favorite song was playing in the wind as we were walking in, and I was like, Nick was like, this is the greatest song ever. I'm
Yo,
like,
Jory,
fuck
it was
this fucking
Return of the Mac. right? Return of the Mac. It's impossible for that song to come on and you be in a shitty mood. And George is like, I fucking hate this song.
Yeah, the
So my coach would make me do crazy shit.
Yeah, no, it was just it was like a mental assault, and I was not prepared in the morning for fueling myself. Yeah. So it was the wake up, go, put your clothes on immediately, light hydration, if any, and you're in one of the toughest work. I was setting myself up for failure.
For sure.
But he didn't give a fuck.
No.
My strength and conditioning coach, it was just to mentally dominate us. And I think some people do need that. And so you're a father now. Yeah. Congratulations.
Thank you.
What? How are you gonna raise your kid as far as the?
That's a good switch.
On this song. Bike
How am I going to raise him regarding sport or just as
regarding working out and training? Yeah,
I can't stop him from moving right now. He's a little energizer bunny, and that's a great thing for me. But I think an experience of as many different sports as possible when he's young. It's all about coordination and movement. And then I think the biggest thing I'll struggle with, and I struggle with anyone on this, is just if they stop trying. Like, I don't care if they suck. I don't care if he sucks. I don't care if the athlete sucks. It's like, you got to have a go at it. And if you don't have a go at it, then that really pisses me off. So that's, I don't know if it's within me that's why I'm projecting that stuff, but I think you got to try before you quit it.
Yeah, I mean, it's clearly going to happen at some point in time in our lives. I think that's a father's biggest kind of triumphing moment, in which you just hope they adopt who you are.
Yeah.
And so, I just wondered if, like, there was any data that backed up on, like, when kids should be strength training or...
Yeah, sure.
Given that you've seen every single version of athlete across the globe.
Yeah.
Like, what do you plan on taking that you found were good points?
Okay, I see. Yeah, I think there's no literature now. Like, everyone's got this old adage that strength training stunts your growth and is bad for your kids. It's not. Bad strength training is... But that's also bad for anyone, right? You get poor movement, or that whole any idiot can make any other idiot sweat kind of saying. It's like, it's not hard to do that. It's hard to do good strength and conditioning that's appropriate for the individual. And so with my boy, it's just about going to be exercise. If he wants to start lifting, we can start lifting. It's not dangerous for them, but it's got to be done correctly.
Right.
And I think that if you look at that whole farm strength, like how many boys in the NFL are in the NFL that come from farmland areas, lifting bales of hay and, working the land. It's like, well, that's kind of strength and conditioning, isn't it? Like, you're lifting stuff and you're plowing stuff and you're shoveling stuff. Like, that's working your muscles. It's the same principle.
That's very true.
No, for sure, man.
Chores are important. Hard chores.
There's
I'm
your
going to get a fucking horse. My kid is going to feed the horse daily.
Pick up the broom, buddy.
Boom. Yeah.
Nah, totally. I have a couple of questions too, but I want to pivot a little bit into, being the field that you're in. I just want to add context before I ask you. I'm a big football fan, like NFL football, and it's a really polarizing conversation as far as, like, would you let your kids play football, right? Because of concussions being now. A decade ago, that movie comes out, which I still to this day I refuse to watch, because I'm one of those guys, Gav, where I'm like, hey man, you kind of know what you're signing up for, right? Like, I'm one of those guys where, hey, listen, even before I started training, I'm like, yo, if I get locked in a cage and someone's gonna throw a fucking capoeira kick at me, might fuck me up long term, right? Like, I got a high school education, but even I could connect the dots. So I never watched that movie because I'm like, yo, these guys are the apex athletes running 20 miles per hour, crashing into each other. I think that's going to have some ramifications. When people ask me, because of my love of football, I don't know if I'd be cool with my kid playing football. Would you feel comfortable if your kid was like, I want to be a fighter? Knowing what you know about it, like, how do you navigate through that conversation?
Yeah, it's really
because they're gonna be around it, right? Since it's your profession, you love it, you're passionate for it. They're gonna look up to you as a role model. Oh, I want to do what Dad does. Have you thought about that? Or?
Yeah, definitely. I think, for me, it's his life. you know, this is what you're telling me as well. It's like, this is what you would accept in your life. And maybe parents aren't, you know, we can guide, but I think if we tell, then they're probably going to go and do exactly
it anyway.
that.
Yeah.
Right. So our role is to sort of guide that process and let them come to their own decisions. And, you know, if they're financially driven and love this sport, then who am I to say otherwise? And I don't know. It's a conversation, kind of like a bridge you cross when you get to it.
Right.
I just don't know, mate. But you could say that about anything. You could say that about his job. If he wasn't an athlete or he didn't want to pursue sport, it's like, why do you want to be a musician, man? There's no money in that unless you're up the top echelon. It's like, well, I love playing the drums. It's like, oh, sick. Get after it then. Be the best drummer you can be, and let's see where it takes you. You never know. Like, I didn't know that I was going to work for the UFC 10 years ago. The job didn't exist.
Right.
There was no PI. So some of my story would be, I love surfing. That's a sport that I've grown up doing. And when I was in China, I went to work for the Chinese surfing team to try and help them get into the Olympics. And some things happened where it didn't quite work out. And I was living in a hotel room without getting paid for 8 months. And then the UFC created the UFC Academy in Shanghai, about 45 minutes down the road. And here you go. I've got a little bit of Mandarin that I speak with the athletes. I lived in China for 3 or 4 years. Perfect person for the gig. There's your... Tell me that's going to happen 10 years ago.
Yeah, right place, right time.
Follow your passion. You got to follow your passion, and you just don't know where it's going to take you.
Nah, shit, man. I'm thinking about myself selfishly. How like I moved. I'm originally from New York. I've been out here now for 3.5 years. Kind of the same thing. Fell in love with creating content. My dad's off the boat Greek. You know, immigrated here from Greece in 1986. My mom is born and raised here. My mom's a teacher, so she kind of gets it a little bit. But my dad, until I moved to Vegas, was like, you're in your basement talking to people and they're listening. Where are you on the radio?
Yeah.
All my family in Greece, they don't understand podcasts. So when they ask me what I do, I'm like, I'm on the radio.
Yeah.
Right? It's just easier to just explain it that way. So, but you're right though. You never know where it's gonna transpire and how things are gonna play out. Just to go back briefly, when you were talking about bad strength and conditioning, one of my best friends from college, Nick Mancuso, he owns his own performance center up in Rochester, and he works with a lot of athletes and fighters too. And he was recently posting, I think you might have saw it too, because I think I saw you like it on Instagram. Mike Trout is one of like the best baseball players in recent memory. And the last couple of years, he's had significant back injuries. And there's been videos of him with like the squat rack, and he's doing like jumping lunges with them. And they were saying how, well, that's why he's having the back issues now, because he's doing these really stupid workouts at 23, 24. And at the time, you're like, you know, piss and vinegar and like nothing phases you. But now you hit 30 and you start declining. How many workouts do you see, you being an expert, and then seeing some idiot like me at the gym posting a video and I grow a following? Because like, yeah, I know how to work out, but not to the level where you're working with professional athletes. How do you navigate through that with the social media influencer culture and working out? And then you're like, oh my God, how are they getting paid for this? This person's going to hurt somebody.
Yeah, it's probably a really hard thing about our industry, if I'm honest, because that tends to get the most likes, the most follows, rather than good, solid, scientific S&C, because that's a little bit more boring. But it's the good stuff. And I certainly think there's a lot of haters in our industry as well, because a lot of us are failed athletes, so we're competitive bastards. So you look at someone else and you go, I'm just going to tear that person down. But maybe you don't know the context. So whether it was jumping lunges, and that could have been a great exercise, and then he swung his bat for 15 years, and maybe that's what put his back out, and everyone's just going, it's that exercise, you know. I don't know. I don't have the context on it, but I think that's the biggest challenge for our industry is, yes, there's certainly some charlatans, and they sell better than the people who are trying to do the right thing, because they're not people who are sellers.
Yeah.
They're just trying to get on with it.
And doing it the right way too.
Yeah.
Like that's something I've always prided myself in the content space. Like I've always done it the right way. I haven't taken no shortcuts, haven't bought no followers, haven't bought no engagement. It takes longer, but I feel better knowing that it happened organically and naturally.
Authentic business takes longer to create and be successful, mate. You can be a success overnight if you sell out, but if you're authentic, it's going to take a little bit longer, but I think it's worth it.
Yeah.
I fuck with that.
That's life's plan.
Yeah.
You had like just told us the craziest thing about not being paid for 8 months in a Chinese apartment, or was it a hotel?
Hotel, yeah.
How did we get to that point? I know you said you were going to teach or coach surfing for the Chinese team, but how did that opportunity even come about, coming where you're from in Australia?
Yeah, so I was in Shanghai working with Olympic-based sports. They have games called the National Games, and it's the biggest event outside of the Olympics. It's massive amount of competitors and all the provinces or states in America fighting for pride, right? So we're helping that Shanghai
and it's
province.
like all Olympic events?
Yes.
Okay, so like Summer Olympics.
Yeah,
just
all those sports.
Got it.
And so we were helping certain sports get to that. That competition was over, and in China they usually go on a bit of a hiatus for a year, so there was no work. So then I went surfing after the end of that. There's some great surf in China, and I went surfing to this island and at the pub there, I ran into the first ever world champion in surfing, Pete Townend. He's an Australian guy, and he was just hanging out at the pub. He goes, "What's this Aussie doing here?" I said, "What are you doing here?" He goes, "I'm coaching the national team." And I said, "Oh, this is what I do." And he goes, "We could use someone like you. We're starting up this process. We're trying to get a surf team based in this city called Hangzhou." And Hangzhou is an inland city, and the wave was a river wave that would break on a full moon for 4 days. If you want to look it up, it's called the Silver Dragon. It's dope as hell.
So it's like a river.
It's a river wave.
A wave that goes for 4 days, you're saying?
So it breaks once for 4 days. So it's just a tidal shift. So the tide's trying to go out with the full moon, and then the tide comes in as normal because it's a river. And they hit, and it creates this one swell line that then bends around the river for 3 hours. It's a 3-hour wave. And you get on jet skis, and you get on it, and it's like a legitimate wave. And that was going to be our home base for surfing. I was like, oh, I am definitely getting into that. That's sick as shit.
How tall is that wave? That looks like a huge wave.
Proper wave, mate. It's like on a big day, on a big swell day, it's going to be like 2 times overhead. Saw a dude pull into a barrel on it and stuff.
That's crazy.
It's sick. It's proper sick.
Yeah, the picture. I haven't seen a video of it yet, but just some of these pictures, I'm just like, whoa.
Yeah, and so you follow that wave. So we were going to use that as our training facility, and I was going to build up the high performance program for it. So I was like, I'm hanging in there for this, and then the politician who was going to fund it got promoted underneath Xi Jinping, the China president. So he shifted up, and the new guy that came in went, "I know nothing about surfing. This is all bullshit. I'm hanging on to that money."
Ah, damn.
And so I'm sitting there, and then I kept
politicians, bro. We talked about it last week.
I'm telling you. So yeah, I just waited. They were like, he's going to release some money soon. He said he's going to release the money soon. Never really happened. And then the UFC came, and I was like, I'll put my hat in the ring, and here I am.
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn, that's pretty
And
cool.
okay, so and what got you initially into the world of S&C?
I played Australian rules football, which is not rugby. It's different. It's a sick game. And 360 degrees, probably our biggest sport in Australia. Get 100,000 people to the big games. So it's a really big game.
What's the biggest difference?
A lot, actually. Yeah, it's not a square field or rectangle field. It's an oval. You kick. Like you guys have your field goals. We've got goals kind of like that. And if it goes through the middle ones, you get 6 points. If it goes through the outside ones, you get 1 point. You can tackle, you can kick, you can do something called a handball, which is you hold the ball and you punch it. And that, so I could give that to you, but then Nick could tackle you. If I handballed it to you, he could smash you. If I kick it to you and you mark it, he can't touch you.
Interesting.
So there's different ways to, and then
there's penalties if they come and lambaste you, right? Like just, I didn't see.
No protective equipment or anything like that. It's just all go.
Yeah, I mean that would be way too much money.
Yeah,
we're trying to create affordable sports here.
Correct. Exactly, mate. Exactly. So yeah, that was my background, and then I started getting injured, so I spent a lot of time in the gym, as you do, and then I was like, well, this might be my out, and then I started working for the club that I played for, and then it sort of led on from there. I ended up going back to university and doing a degree in broadcasting for radio and TV. So then I worked as a TV presenter for 10 years in Australia on the side of running strength and conditioning. So I was doing all of that, and then got the call to come to China.
And so the studio lighting is familiar to
It
you.
is familiar.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude. So what did you do on the news?
So I hosted a couple of like lifestyle shows. So the first one was like boring as all hell. It was like just doing mining because that's a big thing in Australia. So we're just promoting the mining that we did, and then it turned into like a travel show. So we ended up doing like go to different little small towns around Australia and talk about what was happening there. So yeah, that was a cool little stint for about 10 years.
That's sick.
Yeah.
We got some degenerates in Australia, bro, that love the show too.
Oh yeah. They're getting.
It pops up on it gives you the map of the demographic. We got some Aussies.
We gotta die.
I want to go. I want to go down there. I'm just afraid of that flight. That's a long ass flight. Is
Yeah.
it far from here too?
Hey, you can get to Sydney direct now as of December, from Vegas to Sydney.
How long is the flight?
Don't worry about it. No, it's probably around, I don't know, 14 hours, 15 hours. Yeah, that direct, I
Direct
don't know.
don't bother me.
Yeah,
I would do that over a 9-hour flight where I hate
correct.
connecting.
Connecting's horrible.
Because it's like, oh, I'm landing. Oh, fuck, I got to do this shit again.
Yeah, 2-3 hours, and then you go again.
Worst. Yeah, I hate it.
It's a long journey when you got to connect. And we're from Perth, my wife and I, so that's like you land in Sydney, and then you wait, and then you've got another 4.5, 5 hour flight to Perth.
God damn.
Most isolated capital city in the world, Perth.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So you said star-studded?
Most isolated.
Isolated.
So
Far from fucking star-studded.
we have our moments, mate. We're not that good. I certainly wouldn't promote it like that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I would imagine. I've definitely seen it on the map. I recently went to the Bahamas. That's really isolating, too. The Bahamas is just...
Nice?
Yeah, I mean, it is, but it's just like, you feel like, holy shit. We got to protect ourselves. There's nobody that would come to save us right now.
Hey, I just thought about something. Crossover sport. The last 2 years in the NBA in basketball, we've seen a lot of Achilles injuries. Is that something that could be prevented, an Achilles injury?
Yes, but also, again, context. Like, I think there's probably a lot of things that go into those injuries, whether it's playing time, whether it's the speed of the game, whether it's strength and conditioning. So usually speaking, you've got two different types of tissue. You've got your elastic tissue, which is your tendons, which is like a lot of basketballers have really long tendons. That's why they jump so well. And then you have your contractile tissue, which is your muscle. Now, usually if your tendons are going, it means that your muscles are a lot stronger than what those tendons are. So you have to work on those tendons a lot more because of the contraction. When they work together, it's like, well, if the muscles keep handling it, that's a good thing, right? So something has to go under those forces, and it's going to be the tendon. But then you can flip it around. If you keep getting soft tissue injuries, like your calf kept going, then maybe you've got to do a bit more muscular contraction type work because your Achilles is obviously sweet.
Right.
So it's a very, very simple way, but like I said, there's probably a bunch of different contexts within that as well. I don't know what they do. Like, I don't know what their S&C looks like. I don't know how consistent they are. I don't know if that's a thing that they target. That's not my sport, but potentially. Yeah.
Well, I mean, the muscles and the tendons there, they was just I had never heard that. So immediately I feel smarter about the Achilles. Just even something as, to you, it seems basic, but to me, because you see it all the time, like, a guy just, takes a step that he's taken a million times, and then the Achilles just goes. And, the NBA Finals last year, the best player on the Pacers, Halliburton, he hurt his Achilles, but he had a calf injury. Kevin Durant, a couple of years ago with the Warriors, he had a calf. And now it's become something where if a player now, if they say he has a calf injury, in the past, they used to belittle it, like, come on, man, it's your calf. But now it's led to so many Achilles where it's like, well, we need to take these seriously.
Yeah, so even if you think of it like that, the calf can't do its job. So the tendon is like sort of bouncing up and down, and the muscle is contracting, but it's sort of holding it nice and still. It's a very simple way to explain it, right? But if that calf hasn't got the capacity to do that, the tendon has to work a little bit overtime, which isn't its role to do as much as it's doing. So then that's going to lead to it. So it's kind of like this play-on effect. And
Gav, what physical trait matters the most in MMA?
Conditioning. Because as strong as you are or as powerful as you are, if you gas out, you can't express any of that. And we've never had a fighter come up to us and say, man, I just wasn't strong enough in there. But they have come up and said, I felt cooked. So for us, that's a big shift and probably a little bit of a different way to approach strength and conditioning to some other sports as well. So like with football, you might get your 6-second plays. It's very physical. So you have to have strength and power. But our guys have to do that 15, 25 minutes whilst getting punched in the face, whilst getting kicked. Like conditioning is the underpinning component of all of that. Yeah.
Do you ever try to throw in mental tests to them as their conditioning starts to fade? Like, is there any like secret sauce that you like to? Only you would, after a round, ask them to do this task, or, you know, do you have something that would push people in that department?
Yeah, I think anchors are huge. So just having like reasons and purpose when you're hating life in that conditioning, we've all been there, right? You even mentioned it with your coach before. It's like, what are you thinking about? What do you go back to? And some of the things I'll use is like, it's you or him. Like someone's crashing at this point when you're hurting. They're hurting as well. Who's going to break first? Because when that person breaks, you can feel it. You can see it, you can hear it. And then all of a sudden, from nowhere, your fitness level just rises.
You get a second win.
You're like, hello, I'm feeling good again because I'm breaking this dude down, right? So for me, I remind them of that in the trough, as I call it. You find your trough. We've got to find how deep you can go here so that when you take it into your sport, you know you've been there. And there's a really famous story with an Australian footballer. He used to tell his conditioning coach, I want you to take me to that trough so that when I'm running next to my opponent and we're both hurting, I can tell to myself, I've been here multiple times. I live here. I love it here. And I know he's going to break. And I think that confidence in your headset is just everything, mate.
When Khabib said, I like to take people to deep water so they could discover themselves.
Yeah. It's cold, mate. It's cold.
How do you deal with that fucking animal?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. That's a mentality, though.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Nah, for sure, man. And I love that you said the cardio, because I feel like the cardio is, if I was building my perfect fighter and I could have A+ for one attribute, it would be that.
Yeah.
Because you know, what's the saying? Fatigue makes a coward of everyone.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, mate.
It's like,
Yeah.
you know.
And I mean, even there's the part of your brain that's like your central command system tells you to how hard something is potentially going to be or how hard you think it is. So that brain then tells the rest of your body to say like, hey, we've got to breathe more. This is really difficult. We had a great example of that when we did this 1 minute test at one of the combines, and it just laid all the athletes out because it's so hard and they're really competitive. And then 3 months later, they had to retest. And we got this girl on the gas mask and heart rate and all that stuff. And she's just sitting there, hadn't started the test. And her heart rate went to 156.
Whoa.
Because she's like, fuck this test. And her brain's going, this is going to be really hard. Like, this is going to be a really hard test. So, like, we got to start breathing. We've got to start responding. So it's amazing how being calm when things get hard actually helps the decreased amount of fatigue you're going to feel as well.
Yeah. You're probably already going to have answered the question based on what you just said there, but you see so many different coaching methods with these fighters in between rounds. You see the in-your-face motherfucking the fighter to do exactly what they've been training. Then you see the Sean O'Malley type, which I believe that's Nixick, right?
Nah, not with Sean.
No.
Tim.
Are you thinking Sean Strickland?
No, O'Malley.
Oh, Tim Welch.
Tim Welch.
Tim Welch. Yeah. Very calm, cerebral, takes everything slow. What do you try to implore with these fighters in the strength and conditioning portion so, you know, that they can get that point across, or you could get that point across?
Yeah. One of the ways that, again, in Shanghai, they started talking about it was very simply 20-20-20. So the first 20 seconds, you've got to breathe, because there is research out there to say that if your heart rate is at a certain percentage of your max, you're not going to take in any information anyway. So what's the point of getting talked to? I don't hear anything. And if you ask enough fighters, they're like, oh, yeah, it was just like blah, 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 blah. And then they started calming down and they could hear it. So 20 seconds to breathe and calm down, 20 seconds for instructions, and then the last 20, the coach knows their athletes better than anyone. So do they need a kick in the ass? Do they need a fire up motivational talk? Do they need silence just to rebreathe again? Do they need one tactical component? Again, we kind of set up the systems or ideas, but like again, the coach knows their athlete better than we do from a fighting standpoint. We're the non-technical side, we're the supporting side, the cog in the wheel. But little things like that may be a help because we're so systemized in strength conditioning that maybe that's something you haven't thought of, or maybe that's something we could help with. We'll give them the 20-second breathing method, and then you do your thing, brother. So it can work a number of different ways. That's just one example.
Yeah, I'm gonna start taking that. 20 seconds, Nick.
No, but to his point, like every fighter is different. I don't feel like there's a right answer for like everyone. Like I've always been when I got coached, I want to hear like, yo, what the fuck are you doing? Right? Like I've always been, I could take criticism well. I'd rather you look out for me than try to like butter me up and give me like the bullshit. Bro, we got to get it together. What's going on? Like I always preferred that. But then there's other people where you kind of got to coddle them.
You'll break them if you do it that way.
Yeah, exactly. So I think to each their own, and every fighter is different. Last question for me. I want to do a combine. Can we? Can we set up a vlog one day?
Yeah, we should be able to do something like that. Yeah. We've got it all there. We're in Vegas.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Why not make a fool of ourselves?
Yeah.
I don't think so much in this one. The grappling.
Oh yeah, no. Talk about George just going into an environment that
He's not familiar with.
Yeah, maybe we do like all the non-technical tests, all the S&C based ones.
Oh no! I'm not you already said if you don't do them, you're a pussy. So like I have.
Oh
to
no,
do
we're
every
gonna
test.
do them.
I have to do every single
quad can
test.
hold up, I'll do them.
Yeah,
I couldn't run the 40 because I thought my
there's
quad
no
exploded.
We could do that because the NFL has adopted that you don't need to do every event. So like we don't look as bad, but like if we back out of any of these,
so
we'll be looked at as pussy.
Yeah. So basically, you were like a 1989's combine performer. I'm the modern day.
Yes.
I ain't doing this. I'm too cool for school.
Yeah.
I lit it up throwing, but the testing, don't worry. We'll just watch the film.
That
That was my approach there. Dude, this was fun, man. I really appreciate you coming on. Shout out to Bobby for setting this up. Our guy Bobby always looks out, man. Anytime I'm over at the UFC, if I have a friend coming into town, we've done the tour, he's like, yo, I got you. So shout out to Bobby. Let the people know where they can find you. If there's anything you need to plug, the floor is yours.
I appreciate it, mate. Yeah, I just do Instagram every now and then. So it's Gav_Pratt. Give us a follow and I'll hopefully get back to you if you've got any questions. And then I'm running a mentorship for those S&C coaches out there that want to know more about how to help combat sport athletes, because it's a very different approach than your field-based sports. And it's pretty new. Well, it's a new area because I think we've got to think about things differently. So
give me an example of what someone would get from that mentorship.
Sure. It's an 8-week course, and we look at all sorts of things about building your systems for combat sports, how you would train, the needs analysis. So you guys look at, you were asking about what's important in the sport. Well, that's a big part of our role in S&C, so we go through that. We look at different methods within strength and power, so things like breathing interventions, blood flow restriction training for combat sport athletes, and then piecing it all together with programming and periodization. Because when we go back to that weight cut discussion, sometimes we're performing the antithesis of S&C. We're trying to lose functional mass for fighters so they can make weight. There's no other sport that's got to think like that.
Right.
So we've got to do it differently, and I want to help people do it better so we can help these wonderful athletes.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. Just last thing, as you said that, it's like there's no other sport. That's what it makes it so crazy, George, that the day before you go to your Super Bowl,
You're at your worst.
you're at your worst.
Exactly.
Dude, what other sport is
At
like
the
that?
worst.
It's fucking out of control. It's like, hey, man, listen, before you go and main event in front of 20,000 people and it's sold out, you got to cut 37 pounds. And hopefully you can make this weight at 9 a.m. And then, rehydrate. And now you need to be at your absolute.
now you're
There's
in
no
front
sport
of
like
everyone.
it, man. It's the best. It's the best. It's crazy. I love the chaos. The emotional roller coaster. Now that I have friends that fight, like there's nothing worse than when they lose, but there's nothing better than when they win.
Yep.
And like, it's so crazy, man. And at any level, and especially in front of millions of people watching too. Like, dude, I've had friends that I've won, and it's like I don't care what happens the rest of the card.
Yeah.
But then when they lose, it's like, man, I want to just go home, bro.
Ruins
One of
your
my
weekend.
really good friends is Jared Gordon.
Oh, yep.
I grew up with him in Queens.
Yep.
And like when he loses, and especially when it's like a split decision, and you're like, fuck, man, I feel like we got robbed. You know, when it's out of your hands too, it's like, man, I don't even want to watch the rest of this.
Well, you know how hard they've worked.
Yeah.
You know what they've put in to not just even the last 6 weeks, but like we said, if they've done a 52-week fight camp, we know how hard it is. So we feel for them, mate, and they're wonderful people. So it hurts even more when they're good people.
Yeah. And then when you know them too, it's amplified. Gav, this was a pleasure, man. We'll make sure we have all of your social media and all the links in the episode. At Veterans Minimum is where you can find us. George, take us away.
Alrighty. I'm going to take you guys away in 3, 2, 1. Bye.
I'm a gold medalist, bronze like your medal is. So many deer in headlights, but it's bedtime. Hear that supper bell, main course, be the venison.
Dab. Most dangerous game. Either kill or be killed.